Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Haynes-Shipkowski, but you can call me Tony. This is my Module 1 online overview for ACTE 630.50a with Dr. Dreon. My current full-time job is primarily an 8th grade pre-algebra/algebra teacher at Lebanon Middle School. I teach 3 8th grade mathematics classes that focus on pre-algebra and introductory algebra concepts. I also teach 1 class of advanced 7th graders. Our 8th graders at LMS all have an iPad to enhance instruction and delivery. We primarily use Schoology and PowerSchool/PowerTeacher to facilitate learning. During instruction, I follow a hybrid system where, after meeting with my full class, I work with 3 smaller groups to better accommodate misunderstandings, reteach, evaluate, or enhance a topic. Prior to working at LMS, I had various long-term positions in different school districts with students of different socioeconomic backgrounds. Most recently, before starting at Lebanon, I was a long-term sub at Hamburg Middle School teaching 8th grade Earth and Space Science. Prior to that, I had other long-term and day-to-day positions at several rural and suburban school districts. One long-term position that I believe will benefit me greatly for this class is my long-term placement at PA Cyber at the Harrisburg location. Here I serve as a learning facilitator in charge of communicating with parents and students about their progress in their academics, helping with minor level technology issues, and being a mediator between the student and/or parent and the school, just to name a few duties. I learned an awful lot about myself as an educator from this experience, largely realizing that I, as a student, would prefer brick and mortar versus online education. However, as an educator, I have garnered a greater respect for online education and its benefits. Quickly, my hobbies and interests center around 3 things: soccer, swimming, and family, not necessarily in that order. My wife Alicia and I were married almost 4 years ago this spring, and we have a 1.5-year-old daughter, Valerie, with another on the way this May. We also have a dog named Minnie that also keeps us on our toes. As for soccer, I played from the age of 4 until I graduated high school. My interests now include watching and cheering on Liverpool Football Club based out of England. The rest of my life, after family, teaching, and trying to watch soccer, is swimming. I swam from the age of 7 all the way up through my senior year of college. I became my club team's assistant back home after I graduated high school, and then took over as head coach for several years before getting married and coaching for our local swim team after we moved. In all, if I have counted correctly, this is my 23rd year of swimming. For baseball, I'm an avid Red Sox, and for hockey, I'm an avid Capitals fan. Up next is my article and video reflections. After watching the video from YouTube and reflecting on the quote, "Good teaching is good teaching, whether online or in brick and mortar," I agree with this to an extent. Many people have been quoted saying, "Follow that inner voice to your passion," but I believe a person must grow as an individual in every aspect of their life, regardless of their passions. Admittedly, when I was a young college student at Lebanon Valley College, going for my degree in elementary education, I thought I knew a lot about being a good teacher. I grew up with an aunt next door that was a teacher for over 35 years. Many of her friends, and my dad's friends, were educators, so I was surrounded by many gifted teachers my whole life, not to mention many of my coaches for soccer and swimming were great instructors. I felt that from my interactions with all these people, I already knew how to be a good teacher. Of the teachers I hold in the highest esteem, many of them were involved not only in my education, but also in the development of my character. Mr. Corney, my 5th grade science teacher, made learning fun and enjoyable by making lessons interactive with a lot of hands-on learning. Not only that, but as a person, we would talk about soccer, and he would give me encouragement and guidance when I had a rough game or practice. Another teacher that had a profound effect on me as a person was Mr. McConaughey, my 11th grade history teacher. At the time, I was going to pursue a degree in architectural engineering and was looking at various schools that offered these programs. One school in particular was Thaddeus Stevens in Lancaster. The only drawback to going there was I would only obtain an associate's degree in architectural engineering. Mr. McConaughey and I were discussing this one day in class, and he said, "A degree is just a piece of paper that has your name on it. It's what you do with the knowledge you obtained when you earned that expensive piece of paper that matters." I'll never forget that. Now, from these many educators, I also got to know a lot about how I didn't want to teach, or teaching that wasn't so good. Ironically, my 6th grade math teacher's idea of teaching was a worksheet every day where he showed us how to do that type of problem with 1 to 3 examples, and then the rest of the class was for us to work on that worksheet. Also, my 8th grade math teacher was obsessed with how our notebooks looked rather than how we did on our work. I don't mean to bash teaching styles, but at least for me, neither of these two taught me very much and weren't very good examples of good teaching. Just because you are a teacher doesn't mean you're a good teacher. In my opinion, the best educators are the ones that are invested, yes, primarily in your education, but also help mentor you into a greater person, socially and emotionally as well. With my experience from working at PA Cyber and teaching in a hybrid style at Lebanon Middle School, one challenge that is still tough for me at times is the accommodations, adaptations, and supports for students that are struggling, whether it be content-related or a learning disability. I often find myself questioning if I did enough to help my students on a lesson, assignment, or test. It cannot be simply, okay, follow the IEP, delete a few wrong choices on the assignments, shorten the number of questions that need to be completed, or work with them through a few more problems. I feel there is just something more that I can do to help these students than just doing that. I understand that in the online classroom, as Archambault states on page 16 of our article, it is easier to accommodate and work with individual students in an online environment. However, aside from the strategies mentioned above, what more can be done, if anything? Even if I am not teaching directly online, how can I better help my students grow? If I may, I like to respond to the guide on the side approach that Rice discusses on pages 74 to 76 in her book. I understand the different dynamics that online teaching and face-to-face teaching have, but one thing that I have seen both at PA Cyber and in the one-to-one structure I work in now at LMS is a lack of control over student learning that I feel sometimes is lost due to technology. I understand that a part of this is good expectations being set right away, but I also feel that it could also be due to students' effort being given on the homework or assignment or during the lesson. While at PA Cyber, again, I was not an instructor, but a learning facilitator communicating with parents and students about their academics. I came across a handful of students who did not complete their assigned work and lacked the motivation to complete the work because they felt online education was an easier way to go through school, but still gave them more of an opportunity to have fun and play video games. At Lebanon, I've already been in a few academic meetings with parents who think pulling their students from our classrooms and placing them in online school or homeschooling will fix their grades. Now, both institutions have safeguards in place to ease the burden on the teacher or facilitators, but the lack of motivation is astounding, and I believe more a leading cause of tribulation for educators and leads to a loss of control. I've seen the benefits of online, or at least partial online education for many students, particularly those involved with sports that require many hours daily devoted to practicing and or performing. However, in my opinion, I think some students lack the drive and desire to achieve academic success, and some online programs allow too much freedom, exacerbating the lack of success. On the slide, you will see what iNACL standards I saw present in each commercial. I would like to quickly elaborate just on a few of them. Standard Aid discusses current online teaching practices and how the teacher or teachers can help prepare the student for the future by constantly modifying their instruction. The K-12 video is very explicit in their use of a student-centered plan that helps them reach their highest potential. What better way than a plan that is explicit in the student's strengths and weaknesses and how the student can progress? The Carpe Diem School gives the students the opportunity to customize their education and even earn an associate's degree, helping them reach their future goals earlier than other educational institutions. Standard C focuses on the strategies teacher uses to help students achieve. All three school commercials discuss how they help the individual. Connections Academy discusses how they help the whole child. This school, along with K-12 and Carpe Diem, all emphasize how they are student-centered and the instruction being able to be modified to fit that student's needs. Standard F elaborates on what an effective online education needs in respect towards the diversity of its students and the use of accommodations as necessary. This includes the awareness and implementation of 504 plans, IEPs, and GIEPs. Both K-12 and Connections Academy allude to this as they discuss the individual's talents and plans to help grow these talents. I also believe that Standard I is discussed, albeit not directly. Standard I discusses the need for data-driven decisions to help modify or enhance a student's learning. The K-12 commercial states that the plan changes over time as the student grows. The Connections Academy discusses how their curriculum helps their students meet and obtain high academic results. Carpe Diem elaborates on their customizable education. Without data and evidence of student success or struggles, these plans would not be valid in terms of meeting the student's needs. Briefly, a few things that INACOL standards do not discuss, but the videos touch on, are as follows. The Connections Academy talks about how they have clubs for the students to be involved in. The standards do not directly talk about clubs or even sports teams for their students, but from my experience at PA Cyber, some online education programs do offer their students clubs or sports opportunities, whether through the school or the student's home district. Carpe Diem School allows their students the opportunity to do an online program or a brick-and-mortar option. What standards does the brick-and-mortar option follow? Is it simply the students sitting in a room working on their online classes with a learning facilitator in the room to help when needed? Or are they actually being instructed by that person? I want to thank you all for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to your comments and feedback. Have a good night.